I am so excited to make this video. Hello everyone, I'm Ashley, and in this video I am talking all about Fourth Wing. I'm going to get into the characters, the plot, the shadow daddies, all that good stuff. This is your spoiler warning, your one and only warning. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you care about that, please click off. If you would like to unpack everything that is Fourth Wing, let's get into it. Let's start off with the beginning of the book, the premise. So we have our main character, Violet, who describes herself as fragile as a teacup, and she has to go and train at this war academy to become a dragon rider. As her sister puts it, she must decide to die as a scribe or live as a rider. And the reason her sister says that is because Violet originally was trained by her father to be a scribe. Her dad was a scribe. However, her sister, her brother, and her mother are all dragon riders. And her mother is now fairly high up in the military establishment. And her father has passed away, so his influence is no more. And the mother is pressuring and insisting that Violet go and be a dragon rider. Now, this is very dangerous for Violet, not only because of her small stature, but she has some challenges physically in terms of chronic pain, and she lives with this disability, and she knows that that's going to make it harder for her to succeed as a dragon rider. Those who put themselves forth to become one, it's very dangerous. You can be easily killed. A dragon may not choose you, so you can go through all of this and it might all be for naught. At this military academy called Bath's Gate, there are 4 paths you can choose. So you can be a dragon rider, which is what our main character Violet decides based on the ultimatum from her mother. Or you can be a scribe, which is like someone who keeps track of information on scrolls and maintains like history, that type of thing. You can be a healer, or you can be frontline infantry. Those are the options, and we are set up now with, okay, we have our main character and she's going to be a dragon rider. The reason why there is this military college and why young people have to go and train in one of these 4 paths is because there's a neighboring kingdom called Poromel, and they have griffin riders, which is kind of cool. And the griffin riders keep attacking their borders, and so they need to constantly mount defenses. Then we get to basically the first deadly activity that she has to pass in order to become part of the dragon rider learning group. And she has to basically walk across this, it's like a very narrow bridge. It's made of stone. You plummet to your death. And this is where we get one of our first main side characters, Rhiannon, who Violet gives her the boots that Violet has, which are like already pre-scuffed so she won't slip off. It doesn't exactly make sense why she's willing to help out another character, but given some help to get these boots by her family, so now she's kind of playing it forward. And basically what you find is that now that this act of kindness has basically bonded her to Rhiannon. They get into the area where they're now assigned to different squad leaders, and the advice they're given by this higher up person is basically the person says, my best advice is don't die. And it really reminded me of Dr. Bailey from Grey's Anatomy, where she's like, don't wake me unless someone's dying, like that kind of harsh sort of authority figure. There is also a friend of the family who's also training. He's a bit higher up in the college, in the Dragon Rider section, and his name is Dane. And this character, let's face it, he is our Tamlin from ACOTAR. He's the third wheel, the Jacob from Twilight. He's the one who is basically like the foil to the real love interest. One of the cool things about this story is the magic system. So we have dragons which are able to channel powers directly into their riders, and so are griffins, which is very interesting. So we see different characters have different magical powers, like Xaden, who is the wing leader and son of the rebel, has the power to wield shadows, which is very cool, earning him the title Shadow Daddy. We have Dane, who can touch people and then see what they're thinking. And we learn Violet through one of her 2 dragons. Yes, she eventually is put to the test where she's trying to attract a dragon, and she actually gets 2, a small one and a really large one, and the small one can give her the power to stop time, which is really neat, and then the bigger one gives her lightning power. There's also menders, which can restore anything to their original state, and this reminds me a lot of Rishaverse, where you have people, the fabricators, who can do stuff with the human form. That is really neat. I believe that Violet's brother, who initially we're told is dead, was a really great mender. A few questions I have. One is, Violet is given that vest which protects her quite a few times, and my question is, why did nobody ever try to steal that vest? Another question I have is, if they're really in conflict, it doesn't make sense for them to have a system where they're losing people because they're dying off training to become a rider. It may make more sense if you found people who are not as fit and you put them into the infantry rather than having them die off. And I think the whole point is just to drive the sort of plot tension, and that potential imminent death is what makes the plot so exciting. And I think that's really kind of a gimmick. And I think, though, that's one of the main reasons why this book is so popular, is that it has that like Hunger Games, fight to the death aspect to it that everyone seems to really love. When she is initially bonded, you're like, yes, she's finally bonded. And then you find out that now all the unbonded are going to try to attack her so that they can take her dragon. And it's like, damn, that's like Katniss being thrown into the second Hunger Games. So I really enjoyed like the entertainment value of the book, especially once I got through the first part. I felt like it was more of a page turner, kind of once I got over the hump of learning about the world, etc. But I found that I wanted a little more from the writing. I wanted it to be more sophisticated, a little more subtle. And I think that the book was probably churned out with very little editing. I'm expecting a much cleaner and just more descriptive writing style for the second book, because I know that there's been so much attention for this first book. I think it's going to be important to the publishing companies behind it, that they'll have a really good editor going through it. I really like the theme, and I think one of the themes that resonates with a lot of people is this idea of someone who society might consider weak actually having other types of strength. And we see this with Violet time and time again through the story, from the very moment that she makes friends with Rhiannon by sharing her boots, and she gets the 2 dragons, and even the big dragon, because she just wants to protect the little dragon. Her acts of kindness and her strength of character is what becomes her strength. And they point this out in one quote that I wrote down. And not all strength is physical, Violet. That's one of the things that is said to her, and it really rings true. Another thing that I thought was interesting is how Violet uses her smarts and her knowledge of like poisons and things like that in order to beat her adversaries when she's training. I do think it's cool that Dane, our sort of love interest that's more supposed to be Tamlin, I think that he is always like trying to like what he's saying, if you think about it, actually makes a lot of sense. She really should get the hell out of there and go and be a scribe. I think, though, that the fact that Zaden believes in her and believes that she can be strong and wants to teach her how to defend herself, there is something really attractive about that. And if we take it as a metaphor as opposed to taking it literally, and we think about, who do we want to be with in our lives? A partner who wants to dictate where we go and wants to make us choose the safer path and protect us and possibly control us rather than listening to what we say we want? Or do we want a partner who is going to challenge us, who is going to ask us to grow, who is going to empower us, right? I think that that's sort of the idea that they're going for there. Question for you. I want to know, how did you feel about this? There was a few significant deaths, one at kind of the midpoint and then one at the end. How did you feel about those deaths? I actually found that I wasn't as moved by them as I was expecting to be. I think about my feelings when Rue died in the Hunger Games and how much I cared about Rue and how sad I felt. And I just didn't get the same feelings. I didn't have that same attachment to the characters that were killed off in this book. I thought more characters should have been killed off, and I thought more significant characters should have been killed off, like maybe Rhiannon or somebody who is, you know, who we care a little bit more about and who our main character cares a little bit more about. I want to unpack a little bit more. I said that Dane is basically our Tamlin character, and I'm sorry, I'm glancing down at my notes, but interestingly, Dane does not, like, Tamlin at least was good for one whole book, right? In ACOTAR, the first book, we're thinking that Tamlin is somewhat of a good character, right? He's our main love interest. Okay, Dane doesn't even make it that far. It's almost like from the first, you know, quarter of the book, we're already seeing flaws in Dane. You know, Dane and Violet grew up together, and because his father worked for her mother, they were always at the same stationed at the same area. I would have liked to have more flashbacks that showed that time period for Violet and Dane, and maybe we'll get some more of those flashbacks in book 2. Initially, it's very easy to like Dane, right? Because he's protecting her. The sister says, "Find Dane and you'll be okay." He kind of has that boy next door vibe. It made me think of like Jacob as well from Twilight. And then eventually we get the Tamlin syndrome, right? Where we find out that Dane isn't really all he's cracked up to be. He's so fixated on getting Violet away from danger that he is ignoring the fact that Violet is saying that she wants to stay. He's also a real rule follower to his own detriment. He would rather follow the rules than protect or be there for Violet. And we see this as a really great foil or contrast to our main love interest, Xaden. So Xaden is very much our recent character, and I mean, personal preference, I love the name Zaden. Just as a side note, I think that the two names, Violet and Zaden, will blend together really well. He's incredibly caring and thoughtful. He's taken on the burden of making sure that all of the children of the rebels are staying in line, and he will basically die if anything, if any of them are betraying or doing what they shouldn't while at the War College. He doesn't ever treat Violet like she's weak, and that's a big contrast from Dane, who really kind of looks down on her. Now, I almost wish that they wrote Dane a little bit better, because the best love triangles are where you could actually see the character going for either point, either person. And I feel like what's missing is that Dane is really just not that appealing. Like, he very early on becomes not right for Violet and not the one that she wants. And it's not clear to me why he even loves Violet in the first place, to be honest. I think about Gale in the Hunger Games. Like, that was a really good love triangle, the Gale, Peeta, Katniss love triangle, because it was believable to me that it could have gone either way. And that's the kind of love triangle I want to see. Also, the actions that Dane has done, like when he steals a memory from her at the end of the book, like, those are not forgivable things. The way he cares more about the rules than her, also not forgivable. So it all contributes to him just sort of being a weak extra love interest. And I have seen a lot of people talk about the fact that they think there'll be a redemption arc for Dane in book 2, which is coming out very soon, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it. I really hope we don't spend any more time on Dane. I'm done with Dane. Like, let's focus on Violet's brother. I would love to see more about him. I'm not really interested in what happens to Dane, to be honest. I think he's just sort of a weak throwaway at this point. My question to you, and let me know down below in the comments, Rhysand, or Zaden? Which do you like better? And did you find that Zaden was too similar to Rhysand in terms of, you know, leading this secret rebellion, kind of the way Rhysand has his like secret Valeris city, and the powers are very similar, Night Court and Shadows, and now we have this whole trend of a shadow daddy. I don't know. I did like Xaden. I liked the rebellion element in the storyline, and I liked that it turned out that the rebels were correct, and that there's these other beings that they have to fight against. And I thought that was really interesting. I'd like to hear more about why there's this whole cover up and why her mother seems so evil. Her mother really reminds me of the evil mom character in Ember in the Ashes. That series, the Ember in the Ashes quartet, a very similar like military college, and then the mom is very evil. One of the best parts about this book, hands down, and I've heard many people say it, is the dragons. Like the dragons commentary is hilarious. The dynamic with the little dragon and the older dragon, and then sometimes you've got horny dragons. Like I really liked the dragon element, and that was different enough to make it interesting to me. My question is, what are they going to do with these next couple books? Because now we're out of the war college, and that was sort of providing structure to the book, and we've already had this big reveal. The writing style, I think, reminded me a lot of Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing style. Very like indie, very like low editing, not very sophisticated or lyrical writing, not a lot of descriptions of the environments that we're in. I would like to see more of that in the next book. I think Zaden's hot. I'll just say it. Like it's hard not to like him, right? Like he's super attractive, and he's like got this past pain, and he cares about people, and he gets her like the special saddle, and it's like, I challenge you to not like Zaden. I think the people who didn't like this book were perhaps expecting something a bit different. I like to think of the book as just pure entertainment. I mean, I wouldn't watch a soap opera and then criticize it and be like, oh, this soap opera is so shallow and there isn't more substance to the plot. It's like, well, no, it's a soap opera. It's not trying to be this big work of art. And it's the same with this book. It's entertainment. It is not like literature trying to make a deep point, although it still does have some points in there. If you look at it for what it is, it's just entertainment. It's good fun. And for that reason, I enjoyed reading Fourth Wing. I think that I'm hoping that there's going to be more interesting characters thrown in. I think that would really help the book. I'm interested in seeing the fate of the Dragon Riders of the Fourth Wing. I'm going to have some more Fourth Wing content right here on my channel. So if you like Fourth Wing content, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me, because I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize the channel and make more videos for you guys. If you have any video suggestions, ideas, put them in the comments down below. I would love to know what you guys would like to see next from me. In the meantime, this is Ashley saying, enjoy all your reading that you've got coming up. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and thank you so much for spending a little time with me. Bye!